Hey everybody, welcome to Black Spring with Autumn, and it is Tuesday, and if you're celebrating or if you're not, it's St. Patrick's Day, so I just want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day if you're celebrating. Also, I would like to imagine being so woke when it comes to borders that your head of state seems to, over the last 3 to 4 years, been willing to forego security, national security, health concerns, as well as taxpayer funded programs. Well, it looks like that brings us to today's segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And today I will be bringing you a segment from another source, which is not our actual vetted source here from Black Spring with Autumn, but I will be bringing you an actual story from the American Thinker. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me here for this segment of Black Spring. And in this particular segment, we will take a look at the effects of the pandemic and how the effects of that pandemic may strengthen Trump's 2020 campaign. So let's just have a look at this particular article. This is written by Tim Jones. While the mainstream media have been running around yelling that the sky is falling and that the left is criticizing Trump for not acting fast enough and curtailing the spread of the coronavirus, here's how it will end up helping Trump during his re-election campaign. It will validate the need to continue with his two biggest campaign issues from 2016. One, building a wall on the Mexican border, and two, getting the United States off its dependency with China by rebalancing trade. He's already succeeded more than anyone would have thought possible with both of these issues. When the presidential campaigns begin earnest this coming fall, the pandemic crisis will be long over with. So Trump will be able to raise it as an example of why the United States needs to secure borders and to reduce its dependency on China, especially when it comes to prescription drugs that have been outsourced to China. Now here, this article gives the best example you can find from the production of antibiotics, which would be cited in the, quote, China's lock on drugs, end quote, published back in May 2018. And we'll hop down a little bit. Also, it continues with, just like the automotive industry moving so much of its manufacturing to Mexico, the manufacturers of prescription drugs have moved their production to China in the form of outsourcing. In the process, also just like the auto industry, the pharmaceutical industry has lost a number of jobs, making China its key supplier. So with regard to Trump's issues on illegal immigration, the pandemic crisis will demonstrate just how important it is to secure the country's borders. Trump has already succeeded in building a large part of the border wall with Mexico that he promised in 2016, despite the, quote, resistance, end quote, of the Democrats and their allies in the mainstream media. So during the 2020 campaign, how will Joe Biden, assuming he's a Democrat's presidential nominee, be able to criticize Trump for his hard line on the border? And how will Biden square an open borders policy with the circle of American health care security? The easy answer is that he won't, and he will look like a fool if he tries. The exact same argument can be made when it comes to the United States' relationship with China. Joe Biden simply will not be able to make a cogent argument as to why Trump has been wrong when it came to making major changes in dealing with China and putting the interest of the United States first. Trump will be able to point out his efforts to changing the country's trade policy, not just for the economic security of the United States, but for the safety and security of the health of every American. So we'll wrap out this particular article with a little paraphrasing and finish this one out here. During the 2016 campaign, besides keeping out criminal elements and stopping the flow of drugs into the country, the argument was made by then presidential candidate Trump that illegals crossing into the United States were bringing diseases with them, such as tuberculosis, adding to his reason for building a border wall with Mexico. During this coming fall campaign, the argument for continue to secure the southern border with Mexico will be much more powerful and neutralize any counter arguments that it's racist and uncompassionate policy. So that's very apropos of my very next point. So, of course, we have heard for up to the last 3.5, 3/4 of this Trump administration and the Trump presidency as to, we've had all of these heads of states from our neighbors to the north with their Justin Trudeau, the prime minister, opening their doors and foregoing any of their values in a PC world, even if it's at the expense of their resources, the migration compact, all of these pro migrant heads of state. Can you imagine the amount of hypocrisy that it reveals right now, when now they're having to concede to something like a pandemic, a global pandemic that has touched all of these nations? They're all having to close their borders. And their case, they cannot substantiate why they were referring to the policy as racist. I do believe that the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, he is making some exemptions for Americans and even, I guess, select ambassadors in this particular instance. And also, I do think that by now, I think the president made a substantiated case from the very beginning when he wanted to protect the Americans from a national security standpoint, whether it was related to the amount of the drug flow, the human trafficking, and not to mention the effects on the economy, the other effects on the economy when it comes to, driving down wages for Americans who are seeking jobs and who are seeking a better life and who may not have a formal education, or who may be even high school students that are looking for work. The illegal immigration drives down those opportunities for those that are legal citizens, and it also alienates the demographics here in the US. So, as usual, I'd love for you to hit that bell for more panels and videos from Black Spring with Autumn. And also, I'd always love to hear your concerns when it comes to these issues. And you can always like, subscribe, and even better, share, so that this video might appear to other viewers or other conservatives as we deal with algorithms and conservative voice suppression. So as usual, I'd like to thank everybody for being here on this segment of Black Spring with Autumn, and I hope to see you again for the next segment. Have a great Tuesday, and if you're celebrating, a happy St. Patrick's Day.